Hi, welcome, I'm Hannah, and today we're going to be talking about all of my shadows from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. They are an Australian indie brand that I tried for the first time, I believe it was last December. It probably came sometime in January. I ordered 4 shadows to start, and I liked them enough that I ordered 10 more. So I have a total of 14 shadows. I'm going to count it here to show you. This is the little preview of what they look like. I have my new Menagerie shades in here too that I actually do have a video up about. So if you're curious about the new Menagerie chameleons, that will be linked down below. But the Glaminatrix shades are all these ones here. I am a big fan of like warm neutrals and bright shimmers, and I'm also a big fan of like duochromes and sparkly shades and multi-chromes, and some of these are allegedly multi-chromes, but I don't really know if I see that like true multi-chrome effect, but that's kind of okay with me because I think sometimes it's a little much. Or not, I don't know, sometimes I just want the sparkle. So today I have all my makeup done except I am dramatically missing my eyeshadow. So I'm gonna pop a couple of these on and then we're gonna swatch all of them on my arm, talk about them, talk about my thoughts. I keep on forgetting to wash my brushes. I apologize. I don't want to go too crazy with the eye look just because I already have my foundation down and I feel like I'm going to mess it up, but I mean, whatever. I'm going to start with like a super light transition using Cupcake. I find these mattes to be a bit powdery. See that? Which I usually don't mind because I do usually do my eyeshadow before my foundation. And I accept powderiness if it means I have pigment. The shadow is not very pigmented, but that's kind of the point. I feel like it has like a little bit more of like a mauve-y look than it looks here, and it does come up more in the skin than you would think based on the pan. Next, I'm gonna go into one of my favorite shades, at least, no, I'll say my favorite, but it was my favorite from the first 4 that I bought. It's Fate. I've used this before in camera also. It was in my Valentine's palette and it's pretty unique in my collection. I don't have a lot of like true light pinks like this, and I think it's really pretty. That's something that I like about Glaminatrix too. I just think that like I like their colors. I think their colors are really pretty. And even with the ones that I bought, I was kind of inspired because like I do this dumb thing where I like a palette and then I own the palette, but I also want to like have the option to use those palette colors without using the palette. I'm trying to get better about that because I don't need to have the same shadows multiple times over in my collection intentionally. But I found some of those pretty pinks from the Norvina Volume 4 to be kind of hard to find in indie shadows. And I think that this is the kind of shade that is or would be in Norvina. We'll look that up in a minute. But look how nicely those like blended, like minimal effort. I'm not like the biggest like blend to the gods kind of person. I'm kind of simple with my matte setups. I don't know, occasionally I blend and I respect it, but I prefer shadows that kind of like blend themselves because I just don't find it fun to be blending my eyeshadows for a super long time. That's not what I do makeup for. Alright, I'll go in with this hot pink. This is Petal. I actually don't know if I've used this one before. It's super pretty. And just like instantly pigmented. And it's interesting that my first impression was that it had like a lot of kick up from the pan, but it's not really translating to fall out on the face. I don't know if that's also like in part with my brush. I'm using the Sigma blending brush. I really like Sigma brushes, not sponsored of course, but I just think they make really good quality vegan brushes that really transform things. I'm gonna switch over to this Urban Decay brush. I think it was from the Naked 3 that I bought many years ago, like when it came out, like before I was only buying vegan makeup. And I'm going to use that for Adore. I just like to have like a bit of a smaller, fluffy-ish shader brush when I use deeper colors because I want to control where they go a little bit more. Alright, I think that deepened it up an appropriate amount. I'm sure I could go in a little heavier, but I don't— ooh, that made the fallout. But I don't want it to be too deep. How did I get on my forehead? I'll just have to talk brows down the whole time, okay? For my lid, okay, I think I'm gonna go into the one that I'm like, I have to go into this one. My favorite kind of shadows are these like grungy, purpley mishmashes, and this is a great example of what I mean. This is the shade Gleam, and it's so pretty. I think this one's described as a multi-chrome on their website. I'll look that up when we go through all the swatches. I'm not sure if I would call this multi-chrome, as I kind of like hinted at before, but it's like super reflecty and sparkly. It's so pretty. See how pretty that is? I didn't realize I was gonna go so pink with my eyes when I put on orange lipstick. That's so pretty. Wow. I guess I'll do my, I hate this shadow on my forehead. I guess I'll do my lower lash line though before I clean up my under eyes and my forehead. I'm gonna use this pencil brush, and I'm gonna go into Petal again, which is the hot pink. I look pretty damn messy in this shot, huh? And then I'm gonna use a little bit of this shadow. This of the first four was the one that I didn't really like that much. It's called Sweetheart, and you can see it kind of like looks a little hard panned. And I think I only used it like once or twice, but I was kind of like, come on. So it's interesting that I kind of had like a 75% success rate with the first shadows that I bought. And then with the other 10, I feel like it's 100%. I feel like it is. But I'm going to try to use a little bit of this on my pencil brush for my lower lash line, but I feel like it's not really coming up very much. Maybe a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like there's like a hint of sparkle down there, but nothing that would like, you're never going to notice the sparkle on my lower lash line with this kind of sparkle on my lid, you know? Interesting, but I'll keep it. I kind of feel like it just makes it like a little bit of a satin effect down there. For my lower lash line, I think this is more exciting of a shadow than I give it credit for by looking at it in the pan, but we're going to put it in my inner corner. This is called Mermaid Scales. I believe this is another multi-chrome, or at least a duochrome. We'll get to it. And this is super sparkly. Can you see? Can you see the sparkle? Can you see? Wow. Cool. I wonder if that pink is like from me smearing it around, or if there's pink in the shadow. We'll have to find out. I'm kind of thinking it's from me smearing it around. Okay, I'm gonna clean this up and add eyeliner and mascara, and I'll be back in just a moment. Stay. Oh, hey, yeah, I knew you'd still be here. Hey. Okay, so I changed out, sorry, I'm so annoying today. I changed out my lips. Before, I don't know why I'm going crazy right now and actually can't find it, but I was wearing one of these e.l.f. like Seriously Satin lips. This one I'm holding is the shade Nectar, but I was wearing the orange one, and it's definitely within 1 foot of me right now, and I don't know where. So that's what I was wearing before, and right now I'm wearing this new like KVD studded lipstick thing. It's in the shade Lolita. I bought the mini one. It's like exactly like a ColourPop Lippy Sticks. This is my first time trying it. I really like the color. I really like the finish. I like how it went on. I like that they offered a mini for $12. I'm like, why would anyone buy the full size when they offer the mini? And I guess that's why they usually don't, but I probably wouldn't have bought it if they only offered the full size. So I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Okay. Let's get down to business, shall we? I think I'm going to first swatch the first 4 that I got, and we'll talk about those, and then we'll move on to the other 10 that I have. And I'm probably not going to read you the descriptions for the mattes and for like the more normal shimmers, but for the multi-chromes, I always find it fun to like read you what they tell you they're going to be like, and then we can kind of see what it actually seems like in real life. So we'll start with the one that I really like. I'm gonna take off my watch. We're gonna start with Fate because fate brought me to this shadow and I really like it. Honestly, if I was told I could keep like, you know, one palette of single shadows, like 24 single shadows, this would be one of them. I just love the color of it so much. So it's like a mid-toned pink. It feels a little tough when I put my finger into it, but I know that it blends so nicely. And I think it even looks brighter in this swatch than I think of it coming up on the eye. I mean, you guys saw it on the eye. I feel like it didn't make it this pinky, but still, such a pretty shadow. I'm obsessed with it. Oh, and I said I would check the Norvina. Maybe we'll zoom a little out, even though I do look good zoomed in. Okay. We're not going to stay this zoomed out, but we need this for this palette. This is the Norvina Volume 4, which I really like, but I feel like there actually isn't a Fate color in here. I feel like Fate is just the kind of color that I conceive of being in this palette, but I don't think there's any pinks this light. But still, in this palette, the ones that I'm like really obsessed with are this B2, this like raspberry, and E4, this like deeper raspberry. I feel like these two shadows are pretty unique and I'm crazy about them. I also really like this C5, kind of more of like a watermelon pink. I need to use this palette more. I just think about how much I love it all the time. Okay, the next shadow that I already mentioned, but we'll just get it over with, is the shadow Sweetheart, which was the one that was like a little bit disappointing because I feel like it just doesn't shine as much as I want it to, and it feels a little hard panned already. Yeah, and then like putting my finger in it, I feel like it just looks like a satin. I mean, it's nice. It has some nice reflect, but it doesn't have like the shimmer that I want. I'm actually considering decluttering this. I think I'm going to declutter this. I'm trying to be pickier with my makeup just because I have so much of it that I can't use it all, and I don't want to not know my makeup. Like, I want to use the hell out of all my shadows and love them and like know what I'm getting, and I don't need to keep something that doesn't excite me that much. So I'm going to declutter that one. The next shadow that I had gotten in that original one is Cherry Cocoa, which I also really like. I love this kind of like rosy nude. I think it's kind of like it's a brown, but it's an interesting brown, you know? That's my favorite kind of transition color. And this one feels so much softer to touch than Fate did, which is interesting. Such a pretty brown, in my opinion. I really like it. I really like it. And then the shimmer that impressed me a lot is this green. This one is called Bank, and this is the one that made me realize that, like, I think their shimmers are like the real deal. And I don't know who I've heard talk about them. Maybe Angelica, maybe Amy Loves Makeup, maybe Annette's Makeup Corner also. But I've heard of their shimmers being really good. So I did have the impression that Sweetheart was a fluke, since I had, you know, 50% of the shimmers I bought were really good and 50% were not that good. I need to use this color more. I really like it. It just has like so much nice shine. I really like it. It's super metallic on the eyes. It's not the super sparkly formula that I mostly love and that like I have from like this shadow, but it's like the best kind of metallic you can get. So that was my introduction to Glaminatrix a couple months ago, and then I was like, I want more of them. Also at the time, I think what happened was I was ordering, I don't know, a bunch of shadows. I was kind of in a mood, and I was comparing the pinks from Give Me Glow to the pinks from Glaminatrix, and I ended up getting, I think, more of the Give Me Glow ones because they were cheaper. I think they were on sale for Black Friday for like $5 or something. And maybe I don't know. I think I ordered this in December, but maybe I'd been kind of planning the order for a little bit. But I ended up ordering more of the pinks from Give Me Glow, and I have a video on my Give Me Glow shadows. I feel like they're not always really true to how they look on the website, and I decluttered one of the deep berries that I thought was going to be super different because it was super similar to another one and just not as good. I ended up kind of feeling like I want them from Glaminatrix anyway, so that was kind of an inspiration for buying more from them. Okay, we're gonna start kind of lighter and go a little deeper. The shadow that I used on my The shadow that I first used for like a super light transition was this one, Cupcake. Came up a little bit deeper on my skin, a little bit mauvey. This one also feels super soft. So it's interesting that it's just Fate, my favorite one, that doesn't feel as soft, but they all performed really well. Interesting, I feel like it did come up a little deeper on my skin than it looks on the swatch. It came up deeper on my eyes than it looks in the swatch, but I think you can kind of tell that it's like a bit mauvey and pinky. It's not just like brown. I don't think the shadow would suit like every skin tone as a transition either, but I think if you have a skin tone like myself or lighter and you want something that's close enough to it but has like a little bit more pigment, I recommend this one. I think this is good. I think sometimes if I just go right in with a mid-tone brown as a transition, it is too harsh and I need something lighter to blend that mid-tone brown into. Maybe I'll do my 4 interesting shadows in a row. I have a haul that I filmed that I'm sure went up before this, where I showed these new shadows because I just got them a couple weeks ago, and 2 or 3 of them came broken in my shipment, and I pressed them back in with my finger and it worked. I don't really know what that means, but they are shipping to me to New York from Australia, so I guess it makes sense that the package is banging around, but that is something to note. I thought you might be interested to hear that. I don't know. Okay, so mermaid scales is what I used on my inner corner, which I feel like isn't a large enough surface area to really tell the story of it, so hopefully the swatch will do that. The website says that the color is blue/green/purple, and it's a sparkle multi-chrome. So I guess according to that, any pink that's visible in my inner corner is just cross-contamination. So this is her. She just looks white here. Feels nice and foily and thick when I touch it. You know, I don't really see a strong reflect in that. You know, it's cool when it has cool reflex, but I also feel like it works well for an inner corner shadow anyway. So yeah, that was mermaid scales. The next one I'm gonna go into, I'm looking them up on my phone right now. The next one is called Cloud 9. I said that weird. The next one is called Cloud 9. This one's actually listed as a duochrome, but I don't really see any difference in them. I don't know. It's described as a gold with green reflex. It looks very yellow in the pan, and I think it looks yellow in the website swatch too, but it does look gold in the pan picture on the website, you know? And this is definitely one that came broken and I pressed in. I can tell that it just has that pressed in by me look to it. Maybe it's a little bit less sparkly, but I think this duochrome has more of like different colors to it than the multi-chrome that's right above it. But the multi-chrome definitely has more sparkle, but they're both beautiful, gorgeous shades. I recommend them both. Next, we're gonna go into the multi-chrome that I put all over my lid, which is called Gleam. The website says the color is purple, magenta, gold, and green, and I just call it purple mishmash. It's so pretty. I love this. I can't wait until I compare all my colors to each other and then just like see all the ones I have like this and cover my whole body in them. So pretty. Yeah, I don't see that gold and green, but or the magenta really. I just see like purple and like lilac and silver. It's just super pretty. Maybe actually I see a little bit of that gold, possibly. The last multi-chrome that I have is called Luster, and it's spelled in that like Luster Lux Katie way with like the RE. It's described as purple, magenta, and blue. I've worn this on my eyes a couple times also, and I really like it. I would call this like a violet shimmery beautiful shadow. That's what I'd say. It doesn't feel quite as chunky as the other ones, but it looks so pretty on my finger. It reminds me of the nail polish from Kale Polish called Charmed. So pretty. I really like them. You know, I will say I feel like they don't have like as much sparkle or as much shift as some other brands do, like Divina or Terra Moons or Cleona, but I still think they hold their own and they're really pretty and I'm happy to have them in my collection. They do have like a new line of multi-chromes also that I've been like almost buying for a while, and I think I'm gonna try to sit them out because I'm like, Hannah, you don't need to buy every single eyeshadow that's out there just because it's out there. But I still kind of think I do, but I'm gonna try not to. I don't know, just putting that out there. So we have 5 left and they're all mattes. Next, let's go into the super hot pink that I put on my outer V and everything. This is Petal. I will say from this application, I find it hard to find a really good hot pink, especially in a vegan formula. And I'm just so impressed with how this one went on with no fallout or very little fallout. As I say that, I get fallout. But such like a good formulation. I would love to see them do like neon sometimes. I know that they do have some brighter shadows that I'm interested in, but also trying to not be interested in because I don't use them that much and I already have some. But I think their formula would lend itself really well to neon shadows, or at least I'd be curious to see how they would approach the task, because I know that neons are hard to make and most of them are pretty bad. Next up is Uluru. This is like a really pretty kind of terracotta, kind of deep peanut butter shadow. I really like it. This one feels somewhere in between the hardness of Fate and the softness of most of the others. I think you can kind of like, it looks very obvious where I just put my finger in, so I don't know what that really says about it, but yeah, I don't know. And it looks patchy on my finger, but that doesn't really mean anything, but I'm just saying everything I think. Went on beautifully for the swatch. I really like this color. Yeah, I really like it. Next is this berry shade. It's called Adore. This is the one that I used to slightly deepen up my outer V. And this was one that I had bought a Give Me Glow shadow instead and then ended up buying this anyway. Really pretty. I think it doesn't come up as deep as it looks in the pan, but I like that about it. I think I would just remember for the future that I'd probably, like, if I was using all of my shadows to create this kind of look, I might have reached for something a little bit deeper for this particular look. But that's just the reason that I want to know my shadows more, so I can know that this shadow makes this really pretty color that looks like one of the Norvina colors and not a deep color that I think is going to be in here. Maybe I'm just crazy because I think it looks exactly like it does in the pan. I just think that this should come up deeper. I don't know. I'm happy it doesn't. I really like this color. The penultimate shadow is this deep purple. I think this is Burlesque. Yes, it's Burlesque. I don't really have this shade in my collection. Actually, I did just get a Give Me Glow one that kind of looks like this. But until these two, I didn't really have this shade in my collection. I filmed most of a video a couple weeks ago where I was duping the Jeffree Star Royal Blood. I just kind of got in the mood to try to make my own version of that. Maybe I'll try to finish it sometime. It's just kind of like discouraging when it's been so long. But I realized in that I didn't have like a matte deep eggplant in my collection. So now I have two. I really like this shade. I like purple looks a lot. So I think having a purple to deepen up with is really my jam. I prefer that over introducing a brown or a black into it. I'm not a big fan of working with black shadows anyway. Super pretty. A little powdery, as you can see, but that shade is super pretty. I want to do something with that soon. I want to do something with that. And finally, I have Violet Umber, which looks like a deep brown, but it might have like a little bit of a purpliness to it. That is kind of an interesting name for something that looks like a deep brown. Huh, really soft shadow, as most of them are. A lot more crumbly than any of the others. I don't know if I would pick up on the purpleness of it had it not been called Violet Umber, but I think it definitely does lean towards the purple family while still being a dark brown. So these are all of my Glaminatrix shadows. I really like them. I really like the color story that I have with them too. It's just so up my alley. And I like that I can make complete looks with just this color story. My collection's been organized by brand for so long now, so I could make these videos. And it gets kind of frustrating because sometimes I don't have enough in one brand to make a complete look, and I like just pulling out one palette at a time to make a look. So I've really been reaching for this one a bunch because it just makes a really nice palette, but that's beside the point. My recommendations. There's none that I don't recommend other than Sweetheart, the second one. And I don't know what it is, it's just not as sparkly and metallic as the other ones. Maybe you like more of like a satin finish, and if you do, then you would like this one, but it's just not for me. I don't need that in my collection. All the rest of them are great. Favorite one is this matte light pink called Fate. Super pretty and unique to my collection. And then my other two are these two right here, which are Gleam and Luster. But I really like the tones of all the mattes. I just really like them. Yeah. And that's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into my Glaminatrix shadows. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me, and there's a lot more indie shadow content to come, a lot more roundups of all the products that I have in different brands. If there's any brands that you want to see in particular, let me know. If I have them, I'll do it. If I'm looking at them, maybe I'll get them and I'll let you know. But either way, thank you so much for being here, and that's everything. Bye.